What's up, guys? It's the Beard with the ABC Duelist. Today bringing you a brand new video. I have a deck profile for you guys. It's my Super Quantum and Crystron build. Super Quantums are a thing that I've been working on since YCS was in Minneapolis last, I believe, October or September, kind of around then. And I think I finally found an engine that works really well with it, which is the Crystrons. They don't necessarily play off each other, but you're not necessarily dead if you can't get a certain quantum or a certain Crystron. So let's get right into it here. I'm just going to start off with the Crystron monsters. First thing you're going to want to start off with is 3 of Blue Layer. Now what Blue Layer does is really awesome. When it's normal or special summoned, add 1 Super Quant card from deck to hand, except for itself. Usually the card that I add is the field spell, which is Magnet Carrier. You're going to want to see that on the field most of the, if not the whole duel. So that's really nice that you can add that and then activate it right away. Also, when it is destroyed, you can shuffle 3 Super Quant monsters from your graveyard into your deck, which is awesome as well. So it kind of keeps recycling, which is really nice. Second up, you're going to want to run 3 of Green Layer. Now what Green Layer does is you can special summon 1 Super Quant monster from your hand when normal or special summoned. So let's kind of swarm that field. Lets you kind of easily get out the 3 layers right away. And then when it's destroyed, discard 1 Super Quant card and draw 1 card. Which is really awesome. So if you have, say, Alphen in the graveyard, and you have Finisher Ball in your hand, which is the new card that just came out with Raging Tempest, if those are both in the graveyard, you can banish those to get out Magnet Carrier right away. So that's kind of one of the cards you want to discard. Plus that draw doesn't hurt either, which is really awesome. And then finally for the layers, you're going to want to run 3 of Red. Now what Red does is he's kind of like Cyber Dragon, where if you have no monsters on the field, you can special summon him from the hand. And then when he is destroyed, you can special summon 1 Super Quant monster from the graveyard, except for himself. So that's really nice. You can kind of keep recycling your monsters from graveyard. So that's it for the layers. Like I said, you're going to want to run 3 of them. You need 3 of them for sure for this deck to work, on the Super Quantum side at least, which is really awesome. Next, you're going to want to run 3 Super Quantum Fairy Alphens. His effect is really good. His second effect is really good. Is the one I use the most, where you contribute him. Select 3 Super Quant monsters with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly chooses one. You special summon one of them, the one that they chose, and then send the other to the graveyard. So if they send the wrong, or if they summon the right Super Quantum, you can easily have all 3 of the layers on your field. Then, what you can do, if you have Magnet Carrier in your hand, just play that, and then you can easily go into your XZ plays off that. His first effect I don't use too often, where you just target and then change the level of some of the monsters. Like I said, I use him more for the for getting the layers out than anything. So that's it for the Super Quantum monsters. Going on the Crystron monsters, first with the tuners. Gonna want to run 3 of Quan. His effect is really nice. Special summon 1 non-tuner monster from your hand on your opponent's main or battle phase, and then immediately synchro, which is nice. It is a quick effect, so you kind of get that priority. Really nice. All the tuners kind of have a similar effect where you can synchro on your opponent's main phase or battle phase, which is really awesome. Let's get bigger monsters out. Citri's effect is a little different though, in terms of the monster that you special summon. You special summon it from the graveyard, and then instead of going to the graveyard when you use the synchro material, they get banished instead. So I run her at 3, and then finally for the tuners, I run 2 of Rion or Ryan. His effect's a little different as well. Still the same with the synchro on the main or battle phase, but you use banished monsters instead. So that's really nice. And the synchro materials are shuffled into the deck instead of going to the graveyard. So that's really cool as well. So you can constantly just keep recycling, keep doing synchro plays, which is awesome. Onto the Crystron monsters that are non-tuners. They kind of all have the same effect, where you can target 1 card and just send it to the graveyard to special summon a non-tuner from the deck. Special summon 1 Crystron tuner from the deck. And they can target themselves. It does not say that they can't, so that's what you're going to want to do majority of the time. You're going to want to pop themselves to do that effect, because then you can just use them from the graveyard or from the banish zone. But they all have a different second effect. Praise Yordle's second effect that I run him at 2. His second effect is you special summon 1 Crystron monster from your hand when you banish him. So that's really awesome. You can summon out easy Self-Ethnir or even one of the tuners, because it doesn't specify, it just says a monster. So that's really nice. 2 Smiger, again, same first effect, but his is a little different when banished. If you banish him from the graveyard, you can add 1 Crystron spell or trap card from deck to hand. So I always add Impact. Impact lets me recycle my banished monsters, lets me special summon them, which is really awesome. So you're going to run 2 Smiger. You're going to want to run 2 of Fistburn's effect, same as the first 2. Only this one is add 1 Crystron monster from deck to hand. So you can add a tuner, and then you can play the tuner, or you can add any of the other non-tuners just for synchro material, which is really nice. You want to run 2 Rosenix. Rosenix effect is when he's in the graveyard, you can target him, banish him, and then you get 1 level 1 Crystron token. It can't be used as a tribute, but you can still use it for a synchro summon, so that's really nice. Kind of keeps your field full, so you're not constantly getting direct damage. Really helpful as well. You can, like I said, you can synchro that token, so that helps as well. And then finally for the Crystron monsters, 2 of Sulfethir. Sulfethir is the new card that just came out in Raging Tempest. What it does is you can discard 1 Crystron card when he's in your hand or graveyard, and you can special summon him in defense, then destroy 1 card you control. And then when this card on the field is destroyed by a valid card effect, special summon 1 Crystron monster from the deck. And you can only use each effect once per turn, and it states its name, so you can only use, if you have 1 on the field, you can only use 1 effect once per turn, which is good, which is bad actually, but you know, it's still very helpful. It's a good card. Like I said, it just came out, so I'm still kind of getting used to using him in this deck, which is why I only have him at 2. Next for spells and traps, 3 Magna Carrier. Magna Carrier is the field spell for this deck. Majority of the time you're going to see it in your hand. It's really nice. It lets you get out those XZ monsters right away, those mech beasts right away. If you discard, you can easily get all 3 on the field in 1 turn. And then once all 3 are on the field, you can send this card to the graveyard to special summon Mech King, which is really awesome. Like I said, you're always gonna see that in your hand. If not, that's why we run 1 Super Quantum Elfin Spike. Elfin Spike's first effect is if I have 3 or more Super Quant monsters with different names, I can shuffle all the cards my opponent controls back into their deck, and then they get to special summon 1 monster from their extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions, which, you know, isn't the best, but it's still good because it clears their field, and they might have a monster that you can easily get over next turn. And its second effect is one that's really awesome, which is why I run it. If this card and Fairy Alphen is in your graveyard, like I said earlier, you can banish both of them and activate immediately from the deck 1 Magna Carrier. So it kind of acts like another sort of terraforming, which is really awesome. I only run 1 of it just because of that first effect, but that second effect is really good. And then again, if you don't see any of the Magna Carrier in your hand, want to run 1 terraforming. I only run 1 of them, just because, like I said, I always see that field spell in my hand or in that second turn, that draw. So I'm never hurting to see it, which is why I only run 1 terraforming, just to kind of free up some more deck space. But that's it for the spells and traps. That's it for the spells. Getting into the traps, run 2 of Super Quantum Mech Sword Magnet Slayer. This card is insane. What it does is you equip it to a Super Quantum XZ you control, like Mech King, and it can gain 100 attack times the rank that it is. So Mech King gains 1200. Not only does it gain attack, it also gains piercing damage against defense monsters, and I can pitch this card when it's equipped. I can send it to the graveyard, and then that monster that it was equipped to can attack 3 times. So it's really deadly. If you have Mech King on the field, he's already at 36. So if I pitch this, he does 36 times 3. So that's easily a 1-turn kill, depending on what's all on their field, which is awesome. Then you're going to want to run 2 Crystron Impact. Impact is really nice. It lets you special summon your banished monsters, and then your opponent loses all their defense goes to 0. And then when this card's in the field, except for the turn of Ascent, you can banish it when your opponent targets 1 Crystron monster with an effect, and it negates the effect. So kind of awesome, kind of like an Infinity, which is really cool. Then you're going to want to run 1 Solemn Warning, just kind of close the deck out, just stop things that your opponent wants to do, shut them down. Going on to the extra deck, there's a few other options for the extra deck. I know, for example, you can do Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome, or you can even do Infinity and Nova and Infinity, which is really cool. But for this one, it's just Quantums and just Crystrons. I might change it in the future. You can also go into Crystal Wing pretty easily, but for right now, it's just Crystron and Quantum. But starting off, you're going to want to run 2 Grand Pulse. It's got a nice high defense, and it's got that MST effect. When you discard, you can pop 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, which is really nice. 2 Ouroboros. That Book of Moon effect that it has is really nice as well. And it's also got some pretty beefy attack at 22 and then 24 defense. And then 2 of Magna Liger. Magna Liger is really awesome. It destroys an opponent's monster, which is really cool. Like I said, you're going to want to run at least 2 of everything here. That way you can easily go into Mech King way easy, like much quicker and way easier. And it really helps. You're never hurting to go into him. So 2 of all the Mech Beasts. Finally, 2 of Super Quantum Mech King Great Magnus. I had him at 3 at one point, but I felt it wasn't necessary to have 3, considering I'm only running 2 of every other Mech Beast. But he's got a pretty deadly attack, 3600 attack, 3200 defense. He's a rank 12, which is really awesome. And you can go into him really easily off of Magna Carrier, like I said. And his effect is really awesome. If he has 2 or more material, which he will always have, once per turn during either player's main phase, detach to shuffle 1 card from the field back to the deck. At 4 or more material, which you're going to also have majority of the time, you can, it's unaffected by card effects except for Super Quantum cards. And then when there's 6 or more material, your opponent cannot add cards from deck to hand. So it kind of shuts down a lot of stuff like Blue Eyes, which is really cool. And when I play him, I usually have at least 5 material, so I always at least get those 2 effects. There are the times where I have the 6, where I can go into him right away, which is really awesome. Kind of shuts everything down, no need to detach anything. Kind of just stops them from doing what they want. Basically stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At that point. For Crystron side of the extra deck, 3 of Quandax. Now Quandax is really cool. He's a Synchro Tuner, and he has the same effect as the other Crystron Tuners, where you can Synchro Summon on their main or battle phase. Which is really nice. When he's destroyed by battle or card effect, target 1 Crystron monster in your graveyard and special summon it. He's really nice. He's got a nice high defense of 2000 and 1800 attack, so it doesn't hurt either. 4-star tuner, Synchro, really nice. Next, 2 Amatrix. Amatrix I run 2 of because he's really good. Change all face-up special summon monsters your opponent controls to defense. And then if you combine that with Impact, your opponent has 0 defense for all their monsters. And they're all in defense, which means you can kind of get over anything, really. Then when he's destroyed, you can target 1 Crystron monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Kind of like Quandax. They can't be synchros, though, which is a shame, but you can still kind of recycle your Crystron monsters, which is really helpful. And sorry about the camera issues, guys. Tripod got a little shaky there for a second. Finally, you're going to want to run 1 Phoenix and 1 of the new Crystron, which is Quarion Gandrax, or Quarion as I like to call him. Phoenix's effect is really nice. When Synchro Summon, banish all spell or trap cards your opponent controls and that are in their graveyard. So they can't constantly recycle the same spell cards over and over, which is really nice. It stops things like Return of Dragon Lords, which is really cool. And then when he's destroyed, target 1 other monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it doesn't have to be a Crystron monster, it can be anything, really. So you can get another Mech King out if your Mech King gets destroyed somehow. So he's really nice. He's 1 Tuner Synchro and 1 or more non-tuners. So Quarion, or I'm sorry, not Quarion, Quandax, and then another card. Really cool. And then finally, like I said, 1 of Quarion Gandrax, the new card that just came out in Raging Tempest. His effect's really good. 2 or more tuners, 1 non-tuner monster. He's a 9-star. So it may seem really difficult to go into, but he's actually kind of easy to go into if you have the right cards on the field. And his effect's really awesome. You banish monsters that your opponent controls up to the number of cards that were used to synchro him out. So at least 3, which is awesome. And when he's destroyed by battle or card effect, target 1 banished monster except this card and special summon it. It doesn't specify which side of the field those banished monsters can come from, so you can access your opponent's banished monsters if you wanted to, which is really awesome, really deadly. You can get some pretty nasty plays off with him. And he's at 3,000, so it doesn't hurt either. He's going to be difficult to get over anyway. But that's going to do it for my Crystron and Super Quantum deck. Let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. Like I said, I've been working on this for quite some time, so I'm really excited to see what everybody thinks about it. Let me know what you think. Any changes that I should add. Like I said, Crystal Wing can go in here, so I'm probably going to add him instead of one Quandax. But just let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And always remember, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.